Darby, I really think it's so important for us to work together because you represent everything on the administration side of our house, and I represent a good portion of the activities that we do on the programmatic side. And I guess I just see it as two sides of the same coin. I don't know how we would do it otherwise. We sit together on the executive leadership team, and all the decisions that we make certainly affect each other almost all the time.
I agree with you 100%. There's no way that I can effectively do my job if we don't have strong communications. So the primary responsibility for the chief financial officer in a state health department is really to assist the health officer to achieve the goals that they want to achieve. State government is complicated. There are a million rules and regulations that we have to follow from the feds as well as at the state level. And it's not like a private industry where you come in and it's pretty cut and dry. There are lots of rules and regulations, and so in order for me to effectively do my job, I have to be able to understand why you want to do what you want to do, which is really critically important, so that I can help you. I can help you analyze the situation, I can provide you with advice, I can guide you through the myriad of the rules and regulations, and so that's really what I see my job as, is to help you do what you need to do.
Darby, certainly I can think of times in emergencies when our working relationship has been even more critical. Just very recently, as many people know, hepatitis A has been a challenge for us in the state and frankly around the nation. The number of cases has gone up significantly, particularly in South Carolina. We've recently declared a statewide public health outbreak for hepatitis A, and so I remember right at the very beginning thinking, okay, I'm going to need some help with this, and part of that help is going to be financial help, as well as other administrative contractual help and whatnot. And so I recall picking up the phone to you, and we sort of brainstormed about what ways we needed to push out money and how much we needed to push out and for what purpose and what funding source it could come from, and it was all ahead of time. It was all before we needed it. We knew we were going to need it soon, but we were talking early and often. And for us, I think on the public health side, on the programmatic side, I think that was critical to get it out there and provide the resources to people in a timely manner.
Absolutely. It was fantastic because we don't have a dedicated pot of money for Hep A, right? And so we had to look for funding from our EPI program. We had to look at immunizations. We really had to look under every rock. We had to think through how we were going to bring the staff in and augment our existing staff. And all those things unfortunately take time. And so it was very helpful to have that early heads up so that we could do just that and identify a way to get some one-time funding out there to help with the problem until we can get a state budget ask in for more permanent funding.
Yeah, those emergencies are so difficult to deal with even under the best of situations, right?
Absolutely, they are. And it makes me think a little bit of, when we do have hurricanes or threats of hurricanes, how important it is. We as a team sit around the table in our agency coordination center.
Yeah, we do.
And we spend long hours together. And that in of itself is a great way to build a relationship.
Isn't it though? Yes, whether we want to or not, it's a very close relationship when we're done.
That's right, exactly. But it really does make a huge difference when we're trying to respond to disasters, to be able to know exactly what's going on and why, so we know which rules we can follow and how we can get to the bottom of what we need to do.
Yeah. Darby, I think when I think back to the last federal government shutdown, that was a really challenging time for us. We weren't exactly sure what was going to happen or even frankly what was happening from time to time.
Right.
And I think for us in South Carolina in public health, the biggest challenge was WIC, being that it's a federally funded program. And for us, one of our biggest concerns was staffing, as I'm thinking back to this. And we have staff that are 100% federally funded, WIC funded. We have some that are split funded and split funded with multiple programs. When we heard about the shutdown, I recall your team and my team getting together again early and frequently, routinely, and speaking about which staff God forbid, we would have to do a furlough, which staff would be affected, how we would divide that. Would we just be looking at those that are 50% funded or greater? Would we just be looking at the 100% WIC funded staff? And just having some of that back and forth discussion to figure out what would we do next.
Right. It was absolutely critical. I mean, our staff, I think we're talking at least once a day, if not more often. And we, on our end, we're looking at making sure we had drawn down all the federal money we could draw down, possibly draw down to mitigate the possibility of having to do a furlough, and making sure we were on the same page with the program folks, and y'all looking at everything you could do to delay spending, so that we could take the monies that we had drawn down to maximize their use as long as possible. It really was, it was one of the longest government shutdowns we've had in a long time, and so it took a lot of planning. And there was a lot of fear from staff, and I think you guys did a wonderful job of allaying those fears and helping them to realize that we were doing everything we could to make sure we weren't going to have furloughs. I think that it's really critical to take the time to get to know each other well. Things run at such a fast pace. There's always a million fires to put out. There are always a lot of hot issues going on, but I think it's critical to take the time to build that relationship. Take time to go to lunch, or if not go to lunch, spend some time talking, because when things come down, they come down fast and furious. And I really appreciate the fact that we have a strong relationship, and that I know that if I can pick up the phone and call you and I don't have to go into a lengthy explanation, we can kind of talk shorthand. You know, here's the situation, boom, 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 and we can get to it, and we talk a lot early morning or late afternoon, and that works out great. And I know it's really hard to take the time to build the relationship when things are so crazy, and you've got, especially if you're new to that role, but it's critically important, and it saves so much time on the back end.